And so I have been in the teaching profession for a very, very long time. So in terms of curriculum, I bring to you today this sort of experience. I bring my experience as a student because I believe I'm an ongoing student. You never stop being a student. You start before you go to school, and you are a lifelong learner. So I'm a student. I qualified as a teacher when I was about 20, and so I have been a teacher for a very, very long time. I'm a trainer. I train people. I'm still training people, the Ministry of Education and Culture and the Ministry of Religious Affairs. So as a consultant, that's part of my work. I'm a trainer. My master's was in counselling, so I'm also a trained school counsellor and had worked in that field for about 12 years at one stage. I'm a lecturer at a university in Australia. The University of the Sunshine Coast was my last university until 8 weeks ago. And I'm a consultant. I currently work for AusAid, Australian Aid, a major donor. We have a $500 million education program currently running in Indonesia. It's been running for the last 2 years, and it has a few more years to go yet. So we are spending a considerable amount of money to invest in your future. And I'm very pleased to be able to say that. Indonesia's education program for AusAid is their biggest education program in the world. But besides that, I bring other things to my perspective on curriculum. And this is what I want you to start thinking about. I'm a daughter. Now, why is that important? I'll tell you in a minute, in the next slide, but we'll keep here a minute. I'm a sister. I'm a mother. I'm an aunt, a great aunt, and a grandmother. Now, all of these things are very important. It's important I say to you that I'm a daughter because my father was also a teacher. My father, who is now 90 years old, and happily lives next door to a school, and really enjoys the fact that he can hear the children at lunchtime when they come out to play. My father instilled into his children a joy for education. And he had 5 daughters, and we were all trained as teachers. Then there was a son, and the son strayed. The son became a lawyer. So the son strayed, but he still does some teaching now at the university, so he's okay too. So my family background was very important because we were always discussing education at home. I grew up and playing school during the school holidays. We used to play that we were at school. And my father used to say, oh, give me a break, give me a break. But we used to play because we all loved the idea of being at school. I'm a sister. And as I said, my family has many teachers in it. So that's very important for me as a linkage with education. Some of them have moved into other areas, but they are all originally teachers and they all have those transferable skills. I'm an aunt. I have a vested interest in education for my nieces and nephews. What's happening out there with curriculum? How is it affecting my nieces and my nephews? That's very important. And now my nieces and nephews have little ones. And I want to know when they start in school, what's happening for them too. And most significantly, I'm a grandma, Nenek. My little 3-year-old grandson calls me Nenek. He calls me Nene from the Indonesian Nenek. And it's very important again for me to know that this curriculum out there is right. That this little through school is going to have the best advantage possible. So we can't just package curriculum up. We can't just say, this is what it is. It's in a book, it's over here, it's on a hard drive somewhere. Curriculum is a very living event. Okay. So, I've said that we are all guided in how we face curriculum and how we teach by those people in our lives. So this is a recent photo of my family. This is my dear dad, 90 years of age last year, sitting in the front with my brother and my sisters and myself. And these are the people who have shaped for me how I feel about curriculum. Yes, I got it from school. Yes, I got it from university. Yes, I got it from my working life. But we have to accept that there are all sorts of influences there, including that little man down there, who's very important because he's that next generation. He's the person who is going to go out there to school, and this curriculum has to be right. Okay, so my focus is your focus. As Isel said when she was introducing me, I've been in schools throughout Indonesia for a very long time. I have a long history in Indonesia. I first came here to live way before most of you were even thought of, back in 1979. And since that time, I've been coming and going to Indonesia, visiting your schools, working in your education system. And so I have a focus that I believe is your focus. We all want the same thing. We want these children to get the best education through the best curriculum that we can. Now this morning, while I was waiting to come, I was going through the news, and this article shot up on the news just this morning, a report, and it was very chilling. It was a very chilling article because it's talking about two teenagers in eastern China who committed suicide after failing to complete homework assignments. So they're talking about the immense pressure school children face in a highly competitive education system that emphasises rote learning, and passing exams. So Chinese students spend an average of 8.5 hours a day in class, and then they go home and do their homework. And this poor young boy, a 15-year-old boy, who failed to finish his homework assignment, committed suicide. Thanks, Izzy. Next slide. So who's responsible for that? You know, it'd be nice to say, well, his teachers are responsible, the school's responsible, but is it his teachers? Is it the school? Is it the education system in China? And we can see, but I remember reading a similar article, similar to this, some years ago in the Jakarta Post, and I have read a similar article in the Australian newspapers. This is a global story. We are all responsible for this, and we are accountable, and we have to get it right. You are the people out there. You are the ones who've got to do something about this story. We can't all pretend it's somebody else's problem. I think the words rote learning said it all. We all know that however much we talk about contextual learning, etc., and however much we talk about improvements to curriculum, that in many schools in Indonesia, rote learning still happens. Would I be correct about that? That students are still expected to learn certain things by heart, because it still happens in Australia as well. And so we have to look at the causes of all of this, and we have to own this problem as professionals in a global capacity. Thanks, Izzy. Okay, I'm going to talk about Australia. Country of my birth. Indonesia's my other country, so I have now 2 countries. When I came to Indonesia, before I came to Indonesia, as a very young person, in 1979, my cousin brought a friend to visit me, because the friend had lived in Indonesia and I was going to live in Sulawesi, where we lived for 6 years. And my cousin had a friend who lived in Sulawesi, and so she brought her to my home to tell me a few things. And this woman talked to me and she said, "Alison, you be careful. You will lose your heart to Indonesia." And I did, which is lovely. So this is Australia, the country of my birth. Queensland, that's where I'm from. And that's Easel's other home. The capital of Queensland is Brisbane. And I live about 1 hour north of Brisbane at a beach. Because Australians like to live beside the ocean. So I live beside the ocean, about an hour north of the capital, so it's very, very convenient. Why I wanted to show you this map is that we are one island except for Tasmania down here. We have 6 states, like the provinces. You have 33. We have 6 only. But they're big. They're very big. Queensland, New South Wales, South Australia, Western Australia, and Tasmania, the little island state, are our states or provinces. And then we have what we call 2 capital territories. The Capital Territory, Northern Territory, up in the north, and then a tiny spot that's contained, I think I left out Victoria as I went out. Inside of New South Wales, we have the Australian Capital Territory, which is a very small area, where our national capital is Canberra sits. So the reason I put that map up there is that I wanted to show you that unlike Indonesia, which has so many islands, so many different cultures across those different islands, and even within one island such as Java, I know how many different cultures there are there too. And that's what is a great joy for me travelling. In Australia it's different. We're quite the same in terms of our culture. It's very disappointing, really. I can fly from Brisbane